Hi guys, it's Brooke. We're back for part 4 of making a better than nothing mask. So where we left off last time, we had sewn all of our center seams in all 3 pieces of our pattern. Okay, so we have our filter pocket, we have our lining, and we have our pretty outside fabric. And so what we're going to do now, we sewed, well, here I can show you. In part 3, we sewed these center seams and we pressed if we felt so inclined. So now what we're going to do is stack up all the layers and sew the top and bottom seams. It'll start looking a lot more like a mask now. So what I'm going to do is, and this is important, okay, I'm going to move all this junk out of the way. It's not hard, but you got to put them in the right order. Also, I wanted to point out that when you're pushing your seams out, you know, and getting things pressed, if you need to get into a corner, bone folder works great. I know we all have them, so you can get your seam pressed out if you need to. Anyway, so I had that out to do that. So what I'm going to do is take my lining piece, and I'm going to put it face up, rather. I'm sorry. The pretty side is facing me, okay? And I'm going to take my filter pocket, and I'm going to lay it on top with the pretty side facing me. Okay, and what I think about is, yep, this is what the inside of the mask should look like. The inside of the mask should have the pretty lining fabric that is different from our outside fabric that needs to happen. And then we have the filter pocket, which should also be pretty side up. Okay, so we have those guys. And then I'm going to take my decorative outside piece. Yes, Tim Holtz. I had to say that, you know I do. Got some crazy threads. Just going to chop those off. And our decorative outside piece, which is also the biggest piece, is going to go face down. Wow, I got all kinds of crazy thread everywhere. Okay, so I'm just going to poke the little pocket, the nose curve out a little bit and lay that on top. Okay, and that is pretty side down. Then you take all 3 layers and you want to match up as best as you can those 3 center seams that we just sewed in the last part. And I'm just eyeballing it and kind of wiggling them together. So we do have 3 layers, and it gets kind of thick up right here because you're going to be sewing through so many layers, and that's okay. All right, so I'm going to pop a pin in right there. Say that. Pop a pin. And you want to get it lined up as closely as you can. But again, you know, the best you can. Don't panic. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I just want to put this down so you can see. What I'm going to do is pin across right here, and we're going to sew this top seam. And then when we're done, we're going to pin across the bottom and sew this bottom seam. Okay, good. Nice Nom Nom will come over and show me sewing in a minute, so you guys can see it right at the machine. So I'm just futzing around with my layers a little bit, trying to make sure I get them all 3 layers kind of lined up. Want to make sure that we get them all caught when we sew. So, you know, it's probably not going to match up exactly like it would if you were making a dress or something, but, you know, it's close enough. Again, close enough. It's better than nothing. And this is nice 3 layers of sturdy cotton with hopefully some type of filter that someone can figure out. I know I've heard now people are using folded paper towel or, oh, what was the other one? Coffee filters. You know, there's tons of information out there. And as some things are getting harder to get, or we don't want to leave our house to buy supplies, we make do. Because this is better than nothing. Alright, so I am going to ask Marky if he can come on over here. I'm going to pull my sewing machine in. I'm going to cough, pardon me. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the sewing machine now, and again, we're going to sew this top seam, and we've got all 3 layers in here. I'm going to use a straight stitch. I'm going to start on one end, go forward a little, back stitch, go all the way around with a straight stitch, to the other side, trying to keep about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, give or take. Okay, so here we go. Starting right at the end. You could, oh, marks on the case, marks there. All right, and I can't talk and sew, so I'm gonna pay attention to what I'm doing, people. People. Do I sound like Jersey? Yes, I do. I'm gonna stop to pull my pins out. Sewing through your pins is bad. Oh, I caught that one on my presser foot. Sewing on your pins can bend them, break your needle, just cause havoc. And you don't have to go this fast. You just take your time, whatever's comfortable. Okay. I'm actually going to slow my machine down a little bit, going up around the corner. I'm going to stop right here because I'm getting towards the top. And I'm going to take this pin out. And I'm going to slow down even more. If you're doing it with your foot pedal, you know, if you're using that, you just adjust how hard you're pressing. I don't use my foot pedal. I use my buttons. And I'm just going to go up and around this corner. Boom, boom, boom. And then we're back to 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Pull in my pins. I can speed back up, but, you know, this is just fine. And off we go, all the way to the end. Back stitch. And finish it off. Let's see what we did here. It's always exciting when you pull it out to see, you know, how'd it go. I am going to, right up here at the top, I'm just going to trim a little bit. There's some excess fabric right there, which I'm sure you could see. And I'm just going to trim it down a little bit to reduce the bulk. Optional. Okay, so here's the seam we just sewed. Let's flip this over and see. Oh, the sun just started coming in the window, you guys. If you see a glare, it's directly in my eyes. Look at that. Hey, you guys, it's starting to look way more like a mask. We've got some various threads. Just pick those off. And boom, look at that. Needs a little press again, I think. But look at that. It's so much more like a mask. And there's the inside. Our filter pocket. Right there. Our lining. And that's going to be our casing. So hold on 1 second. I'm going to go press this. And I'll be right back. If I remember to turn the camera back on. I don't even know what to say about that. Hold on. Be right back. Hi guys. I'm back. All I did was press the seam that we just had made. Just get it kind of straightened out. And press the whole project. Now we're going to sew the bottom seam. Okay, so what we just sewed is this. And we've got all 3 layers still in the same lineup that we had before. We've got our lining face up, pretty side up. We've got our filter pocket, pretty side up. And we have our decorative outside fabric, face down. Okay. So we're going to pin this bottom edge now. We're going to sew all the way across here. And we're going to get all 3 layers lined up. Again, actually, what we first want to do is line up this center seam. The center seams. Can you guys see that? Okay, so right in here, where we sewed those curved center seams, I'm lining those up as best I can. Okay. Boy, I can't sew and talk. I can't talk and think, you know. Oh, boy. Okay, then we're going to line up all 3 layers along the bottom. Stick a couple pins in, hold it in place. And if I have forgotten to tell you anything, I will remind you, please feel free to reach out. Send me an email. Send Laura at Laughing Dogs Book Nook an email. With any kind of questions you have, we are ready to help. Because this is the second time I'm recording this, I just have a feeling I'm forgetting to tell you some stuff. I think I already did, but it was in the video that, well, the camera wasn't on for. Okay, so I'm going to make sure my sewing machine is ready to go. And our Mark is going to come over and video the sewing up close and personal. So all I did was tape. You could use tape, but I don't know if it'll work well. You could use pins. That would work better than tape. And we've got all 3 layers all pinned together again. I'm going to start up here, do some straight stitching, back stitch a little bit, and straight stitch all along this edge, trying to keep about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And here we go. Here's Marky on the spot. For those of you who are not seamstresses, back stitching kind of locks the stitches and keeps them from unraveling. These seams will be sewn over again, so they're going to get extra stability, but it's always good practice to do a little back stitch. And I'm just sewing right along that edge, pulling my pins out. Once I pull a pin out, I kind of double check to make sure we got all the layers lined up still. Oh, I still have my machine on slow, but that's no problem. Whoops, there goes my crooked seam again. Brooke. Okay, we're getting up into this thick area because this is where all our curved seams line up. So I'm just going to stop, kind of messing with the fabric a little bit. Make sure we got everything covered there. Here we go. There we go. We got through the thick part, no problem. Still keeping our 1/4 inch-ish. Mine is questionable, but hey. It's talking and sewing. Tricky business. We're just going to go right to the very end. Again, keeping that seam allowance. Boy, have I got a lot of threads to trim. Do our little back stitch. And that is what we have for sewing on this part of the project. I'm going to cut that loose. I'm going to set this out of the way because we're not going to use it again for a minute. And look, you guys, it looks so masky, right? So now the fun part. How did it come out? How'd you do? It's a couple pieces of fabric. If you didn't do that great, off it goes and start again. Ask me how I know. Okay, so you know what? I think I will, and this is, again, totally optional. I'm just going to cut off some of these threads that are flying around because I'm finding them a little annoying. Don't have to. If they don't bother you, you just leave them where they be. Okay, give it a little bit of a haircut, not too much. Okay, now we're going to turn it right side out. Are you ready for the magic? Take your project, and it's open on either end. So it's open here, and it's open here. What you're going to do is open up one of those little holes and grab the outside fabric, which is here in my left hand, your liner, and stick your fingers down on your right hand if you're right-handed. I'm looking in here to make sure I have it. And grab your filter pocket, because when you turn it, you want your filter pocket to be on the right side if you're right-handed. Otherwise, you're going to think you sewed it wrong. Again, it's not a big deal. If you turn it right side out and you think you put a part in wrong, double check how you turned it. Okay, I'm going to use my fingers and probably my bone folder here a little bit. A little bit. I could have pressed after that step. I didn't want to pause again. I'm so hoping that I'm actually recording because that would be good stuff. Good stuff right there. And I'm using my bone folder, and I'm just going up again along all the seams just to make sure I'm pressing them all the way out. If you can see the difference, see how it's kind of bunched up a little bit, and if you use your bone folder, you get all that fabric out. Look at that, you guys. Again, I will go and press it, but what you have is a mask. You've got your filter pocket, you've got your lining. This is what we're going to turn into the casings in the next video. If you turn it over and look at that, snazzy and better than nothing. All right, you guys, go press your fabric, go get it all set up the way you like it, or just give it a press, or don't do anything. It's up to you. And I'm going to come back with, I don't know what number 5 maybe, and we will make the casings. That's the next step. So I will be back shortly. You look for that next video coming up. Again, thank you so much for your time and your donations and just your love, you guys. This has gotten to be a much bigger project than I expected, and that makes me happy. You guys are awesome. If you have any questions, email me or Laura. We're both down in the description box. The link for the other videos is down there, and the link to where you can get the free Google Drive pattern and directions is down there. Come back soon. I will see you then. Stay safe, you guys. Bye.